What's going on YouTube? Welcome back to the JeffMan316 Custom YouTube channel. I'm your host as always, JeffMan316, your pop culture reporter, and welcome back to what's going to be a movie review. I'm going to tack this on to the beginning of my movie review for No Time to Die, the latest James Bond movie starring Daniel Craig. It's in theaters and I'm on my way to see it and I can't wait. Feels a little bittersweet. I've been looking so forward to this movie. It got delayed multiple times. It was supposed to come out, I think, in May of like 2020. And here we are in October of 2021, way over a year, almost 2 years late. Like I said, I've been looking forward to this movie. When they first introduced Daniel Craig as James Bond, I didn't know what to think. He didn't seem like James Bond in the interviews and stuff to me, but man, I just want to tell you, could I have been more wrong? He's actually become my James Bond. It's like I said, bittersweet. I want to see it, but I know it's the last film with him in it. So I don't know, man. I mean, I've been through the gambit. I grew up with my father telling me, that Sean Connery was the best James Bond ever. But I'm 50 years old, so I grew up with Roger Moore as my childhood James Bond. Never was a huge fan of him. There's certain movies that I like For Your Eyes Only is one of my favorite ones. Obviously been through Timothy Dalton and Pierce Brosnan, and but here we are to the last Daniel Craig James Bond movie. So I hope they send him out with a bang, but I'll be letting you know, because when I get back I'm going to record my full-blown, non-spoiler of course, review for this. So hopefully it's a great ending to this great version of James Bond. So before we get into the video review part of the video, like this video or dislike it. Any feedback's all I'm looking for. Subscribe to the channel. Great things coming. Finally hit 600 subscribers. Love you guys. You guys rock. Thanks for supporting my channel. Subscribe, like, comment, share, and as always, hit the little notification bell on your way out the door and you'll be the first to know when I post new videos. So let's get down the road, get into this theater, and see No Time to Die, the latest James Bond movie. And then you can hear my review. Hopefully it's not hot garbage. Let's go. So what's up YouTube? I just saw the new film No Time to Die, as I said in the intro. It's the latest James Bond action thriller that just hit theaters. And let's just say that I'm so glad that I saw it in theaters and didn't wait for it to come to home on video on demand. It's truly an epic action flick that needs to be seen on the big screen for sure. No Time to Die stars, obviously, Daniel Craig as the one and only James Bond, at least at the time of this review. The film also stars Lea SeyDoux, Rami Malek, Ana de Armas, and Lashana Lynch, along with a host of other returning James Bond regulars from the Daniel Craig era, like Naomie Harris, who plays the elegant and beautiful Moneypenny as always. As this story opens, James Bond has left active service and is enjoying a new life in Jamaica with his love Madeline. This peaceful life, though, is short-lived when an old friend of his, Felix, from the CIA, turns up asking for help. The mission turns out to be far more treacherous than expected, and it leaves James Bond on the trail of a mysterious new villain who's armed with a dangerous new biological weapon. So once again, James Bond has to save the world. While I won't spoil the details of the movie for you, I'm going to go ahead and spoil my rating, though, of the film. This movie is on fire from the very start. Being that this is the final James Bond film with Daniel Craig, it was, like I said, bittersweet going into that movie theater. I had some expectations going in of what was going to happen during the story and how Craig's tenure may end in this film. While I was right with a lot of my thoughts, the entire creative team for this movie exceeded my expectations in every way possible. And that ending was just hard to accept, no matter how I saw it coming, that he would no longer be James Bond. Let's start with the good, though. Daniel Craig is comfortable as always in the skin of James Bond, maybe more now than ever. While I grew up, like I said, with Sean Connery as the definitive James Bond for my dad and then me at the beginning, that's forever changed with Daniel Craig after he started playing this character. He is and will always be the definitive James Bond for me. One of my favorite aspects of the Daniel Craig James Bond films has been how the stories interconnect and intertwine. This is even more true here. Not only do aspects of the last film roll over into this one, but they do an amazing job of tying up loose ends left over from all of the Daniel Craig James Bond films, even back as far as Casino Royale. Bond's love for Vesper still hasn't faded in this film, and that aspect of his character is masterfully woven into the main plot of the film. This is very important because it gives Bond a more human element, a more human feel. He's even more vulnerable now than ever. You connect with this James Bond more at an emotional level. Or at least I did anyway, which made it more difficult to say goodbye to this version of James Bond once the movie was over. The film is 2 hours and 45 minutes long, which some may consider a bad thing when you're sitting in a theater. But I can honestly say that the film had such good pacing that I never once checked the time or worried about how much time was even left. I just sat back and enjoyed every minute as it passed and was totally invested the whole time in each action set piece and every time that Daniel Craig was on the screen as James Bond. You may look at the trailers and think that they probably spoiled a lot in there, right? But to me, only maybe some of the first action sequence was shown in the trailer and spoiled, but even that only contained small bits. I didn't feel like anything was spoiled at all. It felt like a fresh film going into it. I also how they continue to utilize minor characters in the story like Moneypenny and Q. Instead of just having Bond throw out cute dialogue filled with innuendo as he walks past Moneypenny's desk, she actually seemed like an important person in his life and played a very active role in the final mission. The same thing can be said about Q. He doesn't just randomly show up in one scene and pass along, the latest in weapons or technology to Bond for the mission. He plays Bond's eyes and ears in one of the final battles, and he seemed like he plays more of a role in this mission as ever before. I also love to see how much these characters really do care about Bond as a person this time around. It isn't just implied as in other versions of the James Bond characters. You see it on the screen this time. Speaking of minor characters, I love the role played by Ana de Armas as Paloma. At first, I thought her character was going to be throwaway and that maybe it was just going to be silly because she played herself off as a quote-unquote rookie. She was one of the contacts for Bond in the middle of the film. Her character exceeded my expectations as well. I guess I should not have been surprised though. I remember her seeing the actress who played her as the sex pot seductress who tried to tempt the family man Keanu Reeves in Knock Knock. But she did shine along Daniel Craig once again in Knives Out, if you don't remember. And she does the same thing here. So nice job by the writers and by the producers picking her for the role. So I will have to mention though that I wasn't quite as fond as the new 007 character in this. Some people may think it's woke because they chose a black female character in that role. But I'm just going to be, let's just say, not very detailed. I don't want to spoil anything, but I'm going to say I don't think her role was as important as it should have been. And I don't think that I was invested at all in that character. It was kind of just like a throw off, and they could have had anybody helping Bond in that aspect. If this was supposed to be a passing of the baton, I really didn't see it. And I'm really kind of hoping that they don't do that because this character was not very interesting, not in any way, in any level. I just didn't like it. But let's go ahead and I'm not going to consider that a bad thing, but let's get into some of the bad aspects of the film. So let's go ahead and get into the few bad aspects of the film. Compared to the villains of the past, Rami Malek's villain is very paper thin here. Doesn't have much character development. They have him with a very sinister look though, and I think the character is a bit wasted. They could have done much more with the mask he wore, maybe sometimes use it to show his emotions, since his character was kind of emotionless. He isn't even in most of the movie. He almost seems like a villain of convenience here. Very ironic that they spent so much time intertwining the plot aspects and ties to the previous films and spent so little time developing the main antagonist of the movie. The same thing could have been said for his entire villainous plot. I like how they try to make connections with the biological weapon that they're dealing with in this movie to some of what we're going through in the world today. But how it came about and how it was stolen seemed a bit too convenient as well. It's a good thing they kept things moving fast to distract me from all these little shortcomings with the plot. I really don't have many other complaints though about the film. It really is a great final entry for Daniel Craig overall. It isn't as good as Casino Royale, I'm not going to go there, but it does come a close second in my opinion in this series of films. Like I said in the beginning, this film is on fire for me from the start to the finish, and it's one that shouldn't be missed in theaters. It's not often that we have a planned ending like this for a truly iconic movie character, and it shouldn't be missed by anyone calling themselves a true fan of the James Bond series or just movie fans in general. So you need to go out and see No Time to Die, and I promise you're not going to be disappointed. So do the normal YouTube stuff, if you will. Like, comment, subscribe, share, hit the little notification bell on your way out the door, and you'll be the first to know when I post new videos like movie reviews. So JeffMan316 will return with more pop culture videos in the future, just as they promised that James Bond will return at the end of this movie during the ending credits. We just don't know when, and we don't know what version of that iconic character we'll get. But you'll know what version you'll get from me, the pop culture reporter, JeffMan316. So until next time, boys and girls, this is JeffMan316, your pop culture reporter, signing out saying, you guys be safe out there.